This video is table building practice number 1. The first thing I want to make sure and remind everybody about is when you're talking about coefficient and constant and equation and function. Okay, I've got my function. I want you to remember that function and equation, really, you're talking about the same thing. Whether you're writing it as f of x equals 2x plus 3, or you're writing it as y equals 2x plus 3, an equation and a function. This is what we're talking about. I want to remind you that the number that is in front of the x, that is called the coefficient. We also call it delta y over delta x. It is called our rate of change. Okay, these are some things that we can call it. Rise over run, you'll hear later on. The other number, and I'll just do it over here because there's more room. This 3 right here is your constant. It's not that it's always at the end, it's just by itself, it doesn't have a letter with it. Right here, the coefficient always has the letter with it. Now, we're going to go here. This is our table. You can pause the video and see if you can come up with the right answer. The first thing you can do right here is you need to do delta y. Delta y is how we say this. This is the change in y. Delta x, let's see if I can spell here, is the change in x. So the first thing you'll do is you'll go through and you'll try and find your change in y right here. If you don't know how you get from -9 to 1, you can go in here in your calculator, go in your home screen. You can always take, let me clear this out, you can always take the bottom number, -1, minus the top number, which is -9, and press enter. Gives you +8, so there's my change, +8. So now right here, how do you get from -1 to 3? I go right here and I'm going to put in the bottom number, 3, minus the number above it, -1, press enter, and that's +4. Let's see the next one. You could do the same thing here on the next one. Take the bottom number, so I'll go 13, minus the number above it, which is 3, and press enter. 10, which I hope you can figure that out. Right here, 13 to 17 is +4. Your second step is delta x, the change in x. You can do the same thing. Take the bottom number minus the top. This will be +4. Right here, bottom minus the top. This is +2. Same thing here. 8 minus 5 is +3, or 3 plus 5 is 8. This is +2. Step number 3 is delta y over delta x. Delta y over delta x, we have 8 divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. I have 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. All of these are the same. These numbers are my coefficient. That's what's going to go first here. So I'm going to have 2 all the way down the first column. Then next to the 2, I have my term number, my x. This is my x. This is my y. So I'm going to put in there -3, 1, 3, 8, 10. I'll go ahead and put in here 62, and x. Now, what I need to do, I'm going to have to add or subtract to find my constant. So now, I don't want to deal with these negatives, so you don't always have to start at the top. Start down here at the bottom, or in the middle. 2 times 3 is 6. What do you have to, so right here I get a 6 when I multiply them. What do you do to 6 to get to 3? 6 minus 3 equals 3. Well, let's see if this works here. 8 times 2 is 16, minus 3 is 13. 2 times 10 is 20. Minus 3, there's 17. Okay, so I think my constant is minus 3. So let me fill in the rest of my process table. And here's how we check. We go in here to the calculator, we go to y equals, we put in there 2x minus 3. You press second, graph. Oh, I need to go all the way down here. All right, I need to go back to 0. I'll go second, graph. It says negative 3, negative 3, and then negative 9. Well, that's what I have here. Then I have where x is 1. Oh, where'd it go here? All of a sudden, my pen. Okay, I have 1, negative 1. Then I have 3 and 3. Well, here it is, 3, 3, 8, 13. You want to double check all your points to make sure that you have them all and you got the correct rule. And then 10 and 17. Okay, well then the next one here says 62. When the term number is 62, what is the value? You can go in here and go, you can hold down, well actually you can go in here and hold this down all the way down until you get to 62. You can do that, or you can go second window, type in there 62, go second graph. Well, it's 121. So right here I have 121. Now, this right here, that 2x minus 3, that's called the rule. Now, right here for my function, I can either do f of x equals 2x minus 3, or I can write y equals 2x minus 3. Now we said the number right here in the beginning is a coefficient, so that means that's a 2. My constant is the minus 3. Now, if one of the things we also can add in there, you see how all these right here are these coefficients are all the same? If the coefficients are all the same, and that means it's going to be able to make a line, it's going to be linear. See in the word linear, there's the word line. Okay, so it is linear if all delta y divided by delta x is the same. Next problem. You can pause the video, see if you can do this, and come back and check and see how you did. Step number 1, I'm going to do delta y over delta x. Right here, you should add minus 4. We're getting more negative is what we're doing. We're going down. So right here, this will be minus 8, minus 4, minus 8. Your second step, whoop, not the term number, delta y over delta x. I'm going to go up here and I've got, this is getting more positive, so I'm adding. I've got plus 2, plus 4, plus 2, plus 4. Okay, so now step 3, I'm going to do delta y divided by a delta x. So I'm going to take negative 4 divided by 2, which is negative 2. Next, I've got negative 8 divided by 4, which is negative 2. Negative 4 divided by 2, negative 2. Well, there's my coefficient right here. See how they're all the same? This means that it's linear. It's going to make a line if we graph these ordered pairs. So coefficient, right here I'm going to put negative 2 all the way down the column. Now some people say, what do you mean it's going to make a line? Well, I want to remind you of something. This is the x, this is the y. So another way that I could write this is that I have negative 1, 1, negative 5, 5, negative 13. See, these are all ordered pairs that are in here. I just split them up in a table. So next, I'm going to put my x in there. So I've got negative 1, 1, 5, 7, 11, 20, and x. Next, I need to find my not my coefficient, I already found that, my constant. So I need to figure out what I need to add or subtract to find my constant. Doesn't matter where you start, I'll start right here. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. What do you have to do to negative 2 to get to 5? Well, if you struggle with this, one thing you can do is go in your table and, oops, I didn't press it. All right, here we go. There we go. Is put in there -5 minus, what do we multiply together to get? -2, -2, and press enter. So that's going to be -3. Well, right here, this is -10 minus 3 is -13. So I think my constant is -3. Now remember, never go on and answer any questions until you go and check it. We're going to go on y equals and put in there -2x minus 3. I'm going to press second graph. Well, I need to go back to my table. I need to go second window and go back to 0. Makes it easier here. All right, so it's -1 and -1, yes? Then I have 1 and -5, 5 and -13, sure do, 7 and -17, 11 and -25, yes. They want to know, though, when x is 20, what is y? So let me see here if I can get to my calculator here. Let's go down here and find where x is 20. Y is -43. So I have -43. This right here, remember, is called my rule. So my function, I can write it as f of x equals -2x minus 3, or y equals -2x minus 3. The coefficient is -2. The constant is -3. Try the next one. Here's the next one. Pause the video. Come back and see how you do. On this one, I'll start here. Delta y, I'm going down. So let's see. 13. That is -16. I still, if you're confused, remember, take the bottom. Let's go into the home screen here. Take the bottom number, -3, minus the top number, 13. Enter. The next one right here, I have, you can go to the bottom, -35, minus the number above it, -3. Press enter. -32. -32. Oh, let's see here. Let's do this next one. We're going to put in there -51 minus the number above it, -35. Enter. I get -16. So number 2 is delta y over delta x. I'm getting more positive. I add 4. I add 8. And I add 4. Step 3, delta y over delta x, -16 over 4, -4, -32 divided by 8, -4. See how these are the same? This means that it is linear. They are linear when delta y over delta x is the same. Linear when delta y over delta x is the same. So let's put delta y over delta x, which remember the other name is the coefficient. So I'm going to put -4 in this column here. -4. Now what comes next? Remember, term number is x, so I'm going to put my x in there. -4, 0, 8, 12, and x. Now, the next thing you need to do is you're trying to find your constant. So you're going to add or subtract to find your constant. I love me some 0 because it's so easy. Anything times 0 is 0. So right here, this is 0. What do you have to do to 0 to get to -3? Well, just subtract 3. Well, let's see if this is right. So this is what I think the rule is. Always, always, always check. So we're going to go down here. We're going to go to y equals. And I'm going to put in there -4x minus 3. And I'm going to press second graph. Let's see. Oh, I'll go back. I'll check 12 first. I've got 12 and negative 51. See? Whoop, where'd my little mouse go? My little mouse disappeared. There we go, negative 51. Okay, so now I'm going to go to 8. Sure enough, there's 8, negative 35. And I've got 0, negative 3, negative 4, and 13. Woohoo! That means I'm right. Now if I go down here and answer my questions, my function, I can write it as f of x equals negative 4x minus 3, or I can write y equals negative 4x minus 3. All right, do you remember what this was called right here? That is the rule. Rate of change. Remember, rate of change is the same as the coefficient. That's negative 4. And my constant is minus 3, or negative 3. All right, here's the next one. Pause the video. Come back and see how you do. In this case, step number 1 is to find delta y. Of course, I don't have that column. Well, that's okay. We don't need that. How do you get here? I subtract 1. Subtract 1, subtract 1. Step 2 is to find delta x, right here, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. Now, step number 3 is to take delta y divided by delta x. Well, look, all of these are the same. Okay, so I have negative 1. Now, be very careful here. You should have had negative 1 divided by 3. All the way down, I have that. So yes, first off, it means it is linear. It makes a line because delta y divided by delta x is the same. Now, my coefficient goes here. So I'm going to put in there negative 1/3, negative 1/3 all the way down. It's what I think the coefficient and the rate of change is. Remember, next I take and put the x. So I have negative 3. Ooh, 0. Love me some 0. That's where I'm going back to. You don't have to. I just know that it's easier. So next, I need to do something where I add or subtract to find my constant. Well, let's see. Right here, this is 0. What do you have to do to 0 to get to negative 2? Subtract 2. So I do that all the way down. Now don't go ahead until you check it in the calculator. So I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to put in there 1/3. 1 divide 3 x minus 2. I'm going to press second graph. Now it says negative 3. Let's see. I've got negative 3 and negative. That says negative 3. What did I do wrong here? Let's go back up here. I have I put a positive 1/3. See how I did that? I messed up. I knew I messed up because I went up here, and at negative 3 it says the answer was negative 3. Well, then I needed to go back and see what did I do. Maybe I did this wrong, but first thing you want to do is double check in the calculator. Did you put it in there right? And I didn't. I need a negative, so I'm going to go second, insert, put in my negative sign. Now go second graph. All right, there's negative 3, negative 1. 0, negative 2. Let's look at 3 and 6 here. We have 3 and negative 3 and 6 and negative 4. Yeah, buddy. Means I am correct. This right here, what is this called? It is called my rule. My function, f of x, equals negative 1/3 x minus 2. My coefficient is negative 1/3. What's another name for the coefficient? Delta y over delta x, or rate of change. Then the next thing we have is the constant, which is negative 2. Okay, there we go. Now I got my pen back. Okay, pause the video. Let's see. We got this one. Oh, this is the last one. Okay, so pause the video and come back and see how you did. If you notice on this one, there isn't a process column. If I were you, if this was my test, I would go and I would make it bigger. Let's see if I can move this over here. Oh, I have to move the whole thing over. That's all right. All right, so now I'm going to put in there 0, 4, 12, and 20. And then I'm going to put an X in there. I've got 1, 2, 4, and 6. Remember, this is X, then Y. The Y is delta Y. The change in Y right here, plus 1, plus 2, plus 2. Let's go to delta X. Plus 4, plus 8, plus 8. So now, delta Y divided by delta X. 1 over 4, well that's 1/2. I'm sorry, not 1/2, what am I saying? That's 1/4. 2 over 8 reduces to 1/2. Okay, oh my goodness, why do I keep saying 1/2? Silly me. It is 2 over 8. It reduces to 1/4. Now, if you don't know how to reduce, one of the things you can do, let's grab this calculator right here. Let's go in the home screen. Second quit. Let's put in there 2 divide 8. You can press, see this math button right here underneath the alpha? Math, enter, enter. It reduces the fraction for you. So now, all right, I want my pen back. There we go. So now my coefficient is 1/4 all the way down. All right, so I have my coefficient. Then I take it times my X, which is 0, 4, 12, 20, and X. Next, I have to add or subtract my constant. Okay, well, I like 0. See, because when I put these together right here, I get 0. What do you have to do to 0 to get to 1? Add 1. Remember, put, what is this called right here? This is called the rule. Go into your calculator. Press Y equals. I have 1/4, 1 divide 4, X plus 1. Second graph. Double check all your points when you go through and make sure all these points are in the calculator. Now my function, f of x equals 1/4 x plus 1. My coefficient, 1/4. My constant is 1. Now, let's review real quick. First off, y equals 2x plus 6. This 6 is the constant. Another name for the constant is going to be the y-intercept. We will learn that down the road if we don't have it already. This number right here is my coefficient. It is also my rate of change. It is also delta y over delta x. It is rise over run. It is also called my slope. This right here is my independent variable. This right here is my dependent variable. Okay. Next, we also talked about if delta y over delta x is the same, that means that it is linear. Linear means that it will make, oh, hey, let's spell it right. Linear means that we can graph it. And when we graph it, it makes, when we graph it, it makes a line. Makes a straight line. Okay? So, when you have, like, if you have ordered pairs, 1, 2, 6, 3, 13, and 4, you have these ordered pairs, and you're trying to find the line. You're trying to find what the equation is for these points. You will build a table, and you will put in there x, then y. You're going to put in there all the x numbers. Remember, the x numbers are these first ones right here. So I put in there -1, 6, and 13. Then you can go and put in all your y's. 2, 3, and 4. Now you can go through and do delta y divided by x, or delta y divided by delta x, and find your equation for this. Another problem you may run into, it may give you a sequence. It may say like, something like this, and they want you to find, oh, I messed that up, hold on. I didn't want to do it that way, hold on. Okay, let's try it like this. Okay? And they want you to find the equation of this sequence to be able to find, like, they're going to give you a sequence, and they're going to say find the 62nd term. Well, when you go to build a table, you're going to have to figure this out. You're not going to want to write it out 60 to 62 times. I mean, the first 62nd thing. See, now when you go through here, the x is the term number. And this is the value. So right here, the term number, the first term, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'd put an x down here. This right here is the value. So you would put in here -2, negative, or not negative, I guess that 1 is positive. You'd have a 1, a 4, a 7, and a 10. Then when you came up with your equation, whatever that is, y equals 3x. If you pause the video right now, you can find the equation. So let's see, 3x minus 5. Then you can put in the calculator, press second, graph, and look in there where x is 62 to find what the value is. These are just some types of problems that you have with table building.